Nikola Tesla's story really begins right where you're sitting. Look around you for a moment. The lights above you, the outlet in the wall, the power grid humming behind your city or town. Almost everything about the electrical world we live in traces back to the mind of one man. A man whose ideas were so far ahead of their time that the world is still catching up. This is the story of Nikola Tesla. He was born during a fierce lightning storm in 1856 in the village of Smiljan, Croatia, an event his family would remember for the rest of their lives. Some said the lightning was an omen. If it was an accurate one. Tesla's father was a Serbian Orthodox priest. His mother, though never formally educated, was an inventor by instinct, crafting tools and devices around the home. Tesla would later credit her as the true source of his ingenuity. He was a child, unlike any other, brilliant, intense, and gifted with a mind that visualized ideas as vivid images. While other children played, Tesla imagined machines. He could rotate them mentally, refine them, repair them, all without touching a single tool. When he saw a waterfall, he didn't just admire its beauty, he saw a future power plant. He studied engineering in Graz and attended lectures in Prague, though he never completed a degree. Instead, he learned by doing, working in telegraphy and early electrical systems across Europe. But the idea that would define his life was already forming in his mind. At the time, the world relied on direct current, DC, electricity that flows in one direction. Useful, but limited. It could barely travel a mile without losing power. Cities needed something more reliable if electricity was ever going to become universal. Tesla envisioned a different system. Alternating current, AC, which reverses direction many times per second. AC can travel long distances, safely and efficiently by stepping voltage up for transmission and down for use. Then, while walking in a park one day, the idea struck him like a revelation. He saw, in his mind, a rotating magnetic field, a principle that could power an induction motor without brushes or sparks. He sketched it in the dirt, as if the idea couldn't wait even a second longer. He was right. That moment would change the world. In 1884, Tesla boarded a ship to America with little more than a few coins and a letter of recommendation addressed to Thomas Edison. New York City was loud, chaotic, and full of opportunity. He found work at Edison's company, quickly impressing everyone with his ability to solve complex problems. But Tesla and Edison approached engineering in completely different ways. Edison relied on constant trial and error, hundreds of iterations, piles of parts, and a room full of prototypes. Tesla preferred to perfect everything in his mind first, then build exactly what he envisioned. Picture their engineering meetings. One man surrounded by mountains of hardware, the other with a fully formed power system in his head, insisting it would work, because in his mind, it already had. Their differences eventually grew too great, and Tesla struck out on his own. For a while, life was harsh. He dug ditches to survive. Imagine that. The man whose ideas would electrify entire nations, knee-deep in mud, wondering whether the world would ever understand him. But adversity wasn't the end of Tesla's story. It was the turning point. In 1887, he found investors and opened his own laboratory in Manhattan. There, he built his AC induction motor, robust, self-starting, and incredibly efficient. His patents caught the attention of George Westinghouse, who saw what Edison couldn't. Tesla's system was the future. Westinghouse bought the patents, hired Tesla, and together they began building the modern electrical age. But their rise created a rivalry that would become legendary, the War of the Currents. DC versus AC. Tradition versus innovation. Edison versus Tesla. Much of the tension came down to business and practicality, but public demonstrations made it feel dramatic, almost theatrical. And then came the moment that shifted everything. In 1893, the organizers of the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago needed a company to illuminate the first all-electric World's Fair. Westinghouse won the contract using Tesla's AC system. On opening night, President Grover Cleveland pressed a button, and the fairgrounds erupted in brilliant white light, over 100,000 lamps igniting at once. Visitors gasped. Entire buildings glowed. In that instant, the world saw the power of AC, and the future was clear. But Tesla was just getting started. Engineers had long dreamed of harnessing the energy of Niagara Falls, one of the most powerful natural waterfalls on Earth. The question was how to transmit that energy to cities miles away. Tesla's AC polyphase system was the answer. When the first power station at Niagara Falls went online in the mid-1890s, it sent electricity to Buffalo, New York, lighting streets and powering factories. It was a triumph of engineering and a fulfillment of Tesla's vision. A waterfall became a powerhouse for an entire region. Yet Tesla wasn't satisfied with simply powering the world. He wanted to free it. In the late 1890s, he built an experimental station in Colorado Springs, where he worked on high-voltage, high-frequency currents. Massive coils launched arcs of electricity across the room, sounding like artificial thunder. He experimented with wireless transmission, early ideas resembling radio, and lighting systems that needed no wires at all. Some of the most famous images of Tesla, calmly reading while enormous sparks fill the room, come from this era. They were carefully staged, long exposures, but the science behind them was very real. From those experiments, Tesla developed his boldest dream, a global wireless communication and energy network. To pursue it, he began building Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, a towering structure topped with a giant metal sphere. With funding from J.P. Morgan, Tesla hoped to transmit signals, information, and possibly even electricity across the world. But the technology wasn't ready, the costs ballooned, and investors grew cautious. Funding dried up, and the tower was never completed. It was demolished years later, leaving behind only myths, misunderstandings, and a testament to a man who aimed centuries ahead of his time. Even after Wardenclyffe, Tesla remained inventive. He demonstrated a radio-controlled boat in 1898, the first working example of robotics and remote control. He explored early concepts resembling radar, automation, and intelligent systems long before such ideas were mainstream. His imagination never dimmed, even as financial stability slipped away. In his later years, Tesla lived in a series of New York hotels. He fed pigeons in the park and contemplated ideas that filled notebooks but rarely found investors. He grew eccentric, tender, proud, and profoundly human. On January the 7th, 1943, he passed away alone in his hotel room at the age of 86. At the time, the world didn't fully grasp what he had given it. But time has a way of revealing the truth. Today, Tesla's legacy is everywhere. AC power systems, based on his induction motor, rotating magnetic field, and polyphase distribution, run the global electrical grid. The unit of magnetic flux density, the Tesla, honors his name. Museums preserve his work. Monuments stand near Niagara Falls and his birthplace. Books and documentaries illuminate his life with the admiration he rarely received while alive. And in 2003, when an American electric car company needed a name that symbolized innovation, vision, and electric power, they chose Tesla. Today, even direct current has found new life through modern electronics, not as a replacement, but as a complement to the AC world Tesla built. Its most common modern use is in high-voltage direct current systems, or HVDC, most often for undersea power cables that link existing AC power grids across oceans. If you're watching this video in a lit room, charging a device, or surrounded by the hum of modern technology, you're experiencing his ideas every single day. So what can we learn from Nikola Tesla? He was not a flawless genius or a tragic myth. He was a dreamer who pushed the boundaries of what was possible, a thinker who envisioned a world powered by clean, abundant energy, and a builder who refused to let setbacks define him. His life reminds us that innovation often begins with imagination, and that some ideas take generations to be understood. He imagined machines that worked alongside us, carrying the burden of labor so humanity could focus on greater things. In a small way, the spirit of that dream is alive right now. From that stormy night in 1856 to the glowing cities of today, Tesla's imagination never stopped lighting the way forward. If this sparked your curiosity, you're always welcome here. And remember, it's Illumentary, my dear viewer.